Alright, so boom, Marcus Urbanski here from Rise with Marcus, just going to be talking you through progressive overload. This video just briefly goes over exactly what you need to do to get jacked as hell so that when you walk into a room, people are like, yo, this guy's serious. And that involves getting stronger, managing your recovery, and ensuring that you're progressively overloading. All progressive overload is that if you're doing a program, on week 1, you'll start at a weight. On week 2, you'll do heavier than week 1. On week 3, you'll do heavier than week 2. On week 4, you'll do heavier than week 3. Based on how advanced you are, it might be for a new guy or a newbie, you turn up and on day 1, you do a particular weight in the bench press. Day 2, you're able to do heavier because your nutrition's on point, you've not done too much volume. Perfect. Now for more advanced lifters, they'll be able to sustain a training load for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, before being able to recover and then see an increase. It's just the nature of the beast, it's how it is. You need to be in that Goldilocks zone, and that kind of expands as you become more advanced. But also you need to be training slightly heavier, pushing yourself harder. Now, the tricky thing about progressive overload and this Goldilocks zone of training hard enough whilst not training too hard, but also managing your nutrition, is that as long as you're progressing, that is our main marker. If you want to gain muscle, want to become more enduring, want to get more mobility, you need to ensure that it's progressing. If it's not progressing, we need to look at your training, or we need to look at your recovery, which is your nutrition, sleep, daily habits, and this type of thing. This is why I tell every single person who comes to work with me, do you want to be better, or do you want to be more tired? Do enough to get stronger. That's it. If after a while you're still not seeing that progress, we can adjust things. Small format change. How we can visualize this progressive overload is through something called a stress response adaptation curve, or SRA curve. So when we input a stress or stimulus, it has to reach a certain threshold. We have to be training hard enough to stimulate a response and an adaptation. Now, if you don't train hard enough, you don't get the stimulus input, you're not going to get a response, you're not going to have adaptation. This is individual, but it's very easy to slowly ramp up and find out where yours is. The response that you get is immediately post-workout, you have a dip in performance or strength, and then based on your sleep, recovery, daily habits, and stuff that I've mentioned before, you will get an increase. Now you need to time your recovery and everything perfectly after this adaptation has occurred to ensure that you catch yourself at this new level, because it will return to baseline if you don't keep inputting a stimulus. So progressive overload is not about forcing yourself to make things heavier. It's not about forcing the workouts to be harder. It's not about pushing yourself as hard as you can. It's about, did I hit this threshold? Am I doing enough to recover? And can I catch this adaptation to ensure I'm getting stronger? Why this is important, as I mentioned before, it differs based on how advanced you are, how quickly you go through this SRA curve. So for a beginner, it's gonna be small stimulus. I was really hurting and felt really weak the next day. Recovery in a week's time or so, and then a really high new base level of strength. For an advanced athlete, you might input a huge stimulus, crazy volumes, heavy weight, and you get a little drop in performance, little increase after everything's perfectly on point, and then you've got to perfectly catch that new increase in performance. It might even take multiple workouts for there to be a stimulus that causes a drop in performance to then catch an increase after a sustained rest and sustained recovery. Basically, thank God you're here, because I can educate you on exactly how you're going to make sure that you do that. This is why working with a coach long-term is best, because they get to learn exactly what causes you to improve, where your threshold is for the stimulus, how you best adapt, how quickly you adapt, and you can almost see it progress over time as you recover quicker and you get stronger. So the key points are, be better, not more tired. Ensure you're hitting a threshold, not pushing as hard as you can. Do not try and force progressive overload. It happens naturally if you do the right things consistently. And lastly, it all depends.